being removed. If you look at it from a 35 to 75 foot, because one question was, well, this is a larger house. It actually, we're actually reducing. Needed. I agree with that.
Whoever that guy was.
Right, whoever that was. But from within the 75, we the impervious actually falls to by another 453 feet. So most of the new cabin is within the 75 footer back. So we believe that's also very good for the lake. If you're looking at it from a total impervious, including all driveways, all structures, everything, we're going from 18 something to about 21. So it's less than a 2% increase in impervious, which basically is consistent from the conservationists' old figures. A new septic will be put in, installed further back from the lake to replace the 1980 septic. It'll be sized correctly, of course, for the number of bedrooms. On that north side, we're planning to plant buffer, almost up to that 35-foot area. So we feel that's incredibly better for the lake itself. The reviewing quarter is it's really not gonna change. It's actually gonna shift. We have 406 feet of lake shore. It's probably gonna be less than 40 feet of open view. You want to keep the view from the lake very modest in what we're trying to do. And we're also 55 feet back. If we had another person on the north side of us, you could do that, that measurement on both sides. We don't have someone on the north side of us, but the cabin right next to us is about 18 feet from the lake, high water mark. And the cabin right next to that is about 12 feet from the lake on that side. So, and then we're back. Then we're back 55. So I think that's also good. And we're also going to add the stormwater, filtration for the runoff of the for the gutters, etc. Staff noted that there's an outstanding violation on the deck or the sauna and the planters that was supposed to be removed. We're planning on removing all that stuff during construction. And as part of this overall process. And the last thing, and this is probably nor here nor there, we have approved 2 other variances on the lake, on our side of the lake. Variance 2411 and 2421, 2321. The first one was within the 35 like mine, not past the 35, but it was a larger structure that was approved. And then there was also a variance that was given down Peninsula Road for an addition on an existing structure, which was within the 35. So I feel that this has, I feel that this request is a lot less than those 2, being back on within the 35, being 55 feet from the lake, and I believe all 3 steps of the test are satisfied, and just respectfully ask the board to approve the variance. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions at this time from committee members? I wasn't able to find the height of the peak.
It's 35 or less. Less than 35, yeah.
Be quiet. No, that was 50 minutes.
Well, yeah, if it was, we were ready, but this one is 35 or less.
Right.
Yes.
Jason, you didn't have any chance to review the 2411, or we didn't know that information, the previous ordinance variances that you mentioned?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not, like I said, I was just curious if you had.
Technically, they don't matter.
Nope, correct. Everyone's individual and every variance is
South
unique case.
Peninsula Road. There's one. Yeah. Look up
No, that's fine.
Jason, you want the numbers or are you okay?
Well, I think I know which place one of them is.
One was 2411, the other one was
2321.
Yeah.
We get it in the record for, you know, if you reference it all, so. Hearing nothing else from committee members, so let's you go back and then we'll open public hearing and then we may ask more questions as we go through, so.
If there are, can I ask questions or no after I leave?
Yeah, we usually engage with, you know, the applicant if we need to on stuff, so.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we'll open the public hearing for 2607. Any public comments from those in attendance? Public comments? At this time, you wanna summarize the DNR letter or any other written information that should be mentioned or referenced here?
Well, you got the DNR letter dated June 22nd, 2026. Let's see, I want to read the whole thing.
It's in the packet.
Was there anything specific to 07 in that, or just the general?
Well, they write it, they tailor it to every project. We could read part of it here. The proposed 2-story, 4,000 square foot dwelling unit in Dexter to be located 35 from the ordinary highway on the Sand Lake. The department is writing in response to the county board's adjustment request for opinion. If the board reviews these variance requests, please keep in mind the applicant has a burden of proving that the request meets all the statutory requirements for granting a variance for each variance request. The applicant, let's see, unique physical limitations. You don't really comment on that one, no harm to public. Doesn't really much to comment on that one. Yeah, it's the responsibility of the Board of Adjustment to assure the statutory standards for granting the variance are met. Yeah. Anyways, it's the. Yep. Boilerplate language. And then you just have the comments from conservation, which you already mentioned. Then the applicant wrote a letter in rebuttal to the DNR letter. And then there's staff report, so that's. Should be there.
Hearing no other public comments, we'll close the public hearing. The committee will deliberate amongst themselves. Again, we've had this one on the table a couple times with information. I'll entertain any ideas, thoughts, conversations that you want to address in the packet.
So it appears that everything that we had as concern before has been addressed and.
I believe so. We had, as Daniel said, that there was a 36 or 37.5 foot peak on the roof. We had portions of the existing deck, as you referencing, that's in the packet, I tore it out, that were within the 35. The applicant has redesigned, planned everything to be beyond that 35-foot mark. As the applicant said, I think 18 feet was the closest spot, but the new one would be minimum of the 35, which,
On the 35.
yep. and back, so.
And I think we've got the list of recommendations too for. That's approved what we
Yeah.
expect, so.
I could entertain a motion if someone were to make something.
I make a motion, we approve 2607 Keasley. I need to read the whole thing again.
Please, with the, yeah, I would,
Okay, or just the conditions.
just the conditions, yes, that's what
With
we're,
these following conditions. Okay, with the shoreline, we follow state, this is number one. State standard viewing and access corridor width, which is not to exceed 30% of the shoreline for the corridor width, and the vegetated natural area needs to be a depth of 37.5 feet landward from the ordinary high water mark. This is the same requirement as listed in the state statute 59,692 1VD, which allows for up to 200 square feet of open siding construction within the 75 feet setback. They have approximately 430 feet of shoreline, which would allow 129 feet wide viewing and access corridor. Mitigation agreement to be recorded reflecting this requirement. Number two, gravel within 35 feet of the ordinary high water marks to be removed and replaced with natural native vegetation. Number three, land use permit to be obtained prior to construction. Number four, septic system to be sized for the number of bedrooms. Number five, privy, new deck, and planter boxes to be removed by 6/1/27. Install rain gutters on the dwelling and direct water to a rain garden and or to rock trenches. Mitigation agreement to be recorded reflecting this requirement. This is an additional mitigation for the extra house area within the 75-foot setback. Work with the county conservation on location and sizing. Number seven, proper erosion control and stormwater runoff controls to be in place. And number eight, follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity.
I have a motion from Schmidt with 8 conditions. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Daniels. Any other discussion on variance 2607 with conditions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There. This time we'll hear variance 2614 Stanish to construct a dwelling at a reduced setback to the ordinary high water mark. Oops, sorry. And to leave an existing shed at the reduced setback to the ordinary high water mark.
Oh, hey.
I will not be as eloquent as that previous gentleman, unfortunately.
He's had a lot of practice. He's been here before.
Okay, well, I hope this is my only time. But I meet you all socially later. I'm just asking for a variance to build a home on my property because it's a really wide but narrow piece of property, and if I meet any of the road setback or the lake setback, no house would be 1 foot wide. So it's kind of in a pinch. Unfortunately, when I bought the property, I was told they already had a variance, and they did from 1995, which obviously is of no use.
Okay. You did fill out the application. We have the application that you filled out that does describe the three categories and things. Stuff like that. Any questions from the board for the applicant while she is in attendance here?
I read one thing that was a suggestion about moving something, but I can't.
Well, was there a garage? Existing garage?
Oh, it was an existing shed
Shed.
Yeah.
also.
So there was a question, I think, about why that couldn't be moved back further. Think, isn't that what I read?
Oh,
Yeah, so the variance is for the house, the new, to build a new house with an attached garage and then to leave the shed where it is. You should, so there's a DNR letter, obviously.
Yeah, I think, yes. It's in the DNR letter that it appears the shed has been placed more than 30 feet from the town road right of way. It looks like there is room to move the shed further from the ordinary high water mark.
If you move it back, then I don't know if you can put the driveway into the garage. Like, yeah. There's probably one reason, like the plans. I don't know if your plans show that the driveway is gonna be on the south side, the garage door will be on the south side.
which is the shed side,
Mhm.
right in front of the shed. Was that the tentative center line? I'm not mistaken.
That's
Okay.
this, yeah.
Center line of the-
Center line drive is where it's already at, you know.
And then the other question on the DNR was the proposed house is to be located 40 feet from the town road right of way. What is preventing the proposed house from being located at the required road setback and thus closer to meeting the shoreline setback?
So when somebody can, I have a very short spot between where my house is and the septic. So I don't know how much it could be moved back, but the septic is just for the 2-bedroom and it's already in.
Did you have that put in, or was that put in when they were gonna, the other people were gonna build?
I had it put in.
And that's not shown on our map where that's.
I got one else. Next day, yeah, I was doing the same thing.
This little circle?
Septic vent, septic tank.
Murphy mud.
Oh, yeah, I see it on the other one.
And then we're on one top.
You think the history of this, too, this was all the yacht property at one time, and the two brothers split up, Dennis and Louis. And they had the variances approved when they created them to start with, but they weren't built at that time, and so. In order to create the lots with this, with the depth here, they had a variances signed previously to start with, and so. It was always assumed that they'd be buildable, but they didn't follow through with it, of course, with the timing and so forth, and. And then we did the averaging, that's why the first map was there to show the averaging with the variances. And like you said, that the driveway comes in from the south and they won't exit, the doors aren't gonna go towards the road, so that's one reason you have enough space there for you. With septic verification in the back, they could potentially move it back some, but that will have to be verified before people do that.
Yeah, so page one is basically looking at comparables of the depth from the water on the. Because the house to the, what is it, the south is 36.7 and 38.6. And the house farther north is 42 and 31 feet from the ordinary high water.
Very similar to what the.
Well, I mean, the setback average, that's done by the state, and that's all legal people. Setback average, Jason can do the permit. Why couldn't you do the permit on setback averaging on this one?
Cause they would have had to shift their house, what was it, Mark? We had to push it all the way to the very north end of the lot, right?
Because they were too far away.
Yeah,
They
the
were-
setback averaging says you have to be within 250 feet.
Of each one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why, okay.
In these blocks or so.
Apart, so we couldn't, that's not we didn't have to move north, and she didn't wanna lose her trees on the north. And so we kept it shifted to the south because of keeping more trees, which was. We think is the right thing to do.
Why couldn't you move the shed? And this one's the shed right over here. Driveway's coming here, why couldn't that go here, plastic?
Well, I mean, 11 by 8 could go in, yeah, anyway, that's not a.
The shed could be moved anywhere. That could be moved, I can see that could be moved between the, off to the other side of the driveway, on the north side of the driveway as that comes in, the way I see it. But
It's on the north side of the driveway, then it's right on the road. Right?
well, it would be,
Where the driveway goes into the garage.
you'd be north of the driveway. Towards where your camper is sitting maybe now,
Is that where you're sleeping?
somewhere up, well, or maybe. Maybe I won't have the road right away, I gotta look at the other map, I guess. Get it.
Oh, I see. You're saying on the total other side of the property.
Well, that would be one option. I think you could do that pretty easily within. I've moved those many times when I came to build for people out of the way.
Right.
That could
But
be skidded before you built the house on the other side of the
Sure.
property.
how does that benefit the
It
watermark?
really, it really is gonna be about the same because of the lot, really.
Yeah,
You're
I
right,
mean, I'd certainly be more than willing to do it if
because you're
you want to
gonna,
understand
yeah,
the benefit.
I'm assuming the DNR wants everything as far back from the lake as possible.
Correct.
So I think they would
They're- I think
want
they're
everything right at
75.
30. They would want if you're gonna grant the variance, I guess, what I'm thinking they're saying is they would want everything at 30 feet from the right of way, the front of the house,
Oh,
right
sure.
at 30 feet.
Yeah.
Shed right at 30 feet.
30 feet of the road right away.
Gets it as far back from the lake as possible.
And I don't know, you might, what about that corner right there? You know,
Right
I
now,
don't know.
probably the
Right on the 10.
It's got us 12 feet from as far back as it can go right now, so the most you could gain is 12 feet further back from the lake.
Okay.
So right now, it's 42 feet from center line, or 42 feet from the right of way line. You could move it as close as 30, and it is approximately 52 to 55 feet away from the lake right now. So you move it to 64 feet from the lake, so
Does that interfere with the driveway then?
it would be close with the driveway to let you move the corner. I don't know what the tree situation is there either, that's the other question.
So it's pretty open, I think. Yeah. I mean, we have an aerial.
Can I come look and see what,
And, yeah, it's looking pretty open.
is it okay if
Yeah. Now, if you're in Oakland Township, they don't let you approach.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the shed must be, here's your camper
Mhm.
and here's your driveway coming in, is that correct?
Yes.
If we got it here as far back as we could, that wouldn't affect your driveway.
Yeah, but now with the proposed garage, it's like that.
Yeah, and maybe it's not gonna work. To move it at all, to make your driveway work. But I was thinking that we could get it over here on this side
And that
also,
wouldn't be a problem.
maybe get it
Oh,
here.
that's where the septic is, so it goes all the way back. to
Does it
the
go all the
neighbor's
way?
Property,
Oh.
yeah, because that's where the two brothers owned it, so really one of their vents, that second vent. Is like
That's right.
the other person's,
Oh, okay,
everyone's okay with that,
this one.
yeah,
Okay, so that was the other
that's
person.
really, yeah. Vent, it's on my property, but it's their vent, so this is all the field.
Okay.
Is this the, what we're looking at? Yeah. Picnic table.
No, I don't have a picture.
Oh.
That's not the,
That is-
yeah, see, I'm afraid if we moved, I thought you wanted me to move this shed here and then. the
I was
driveway.
just thinking going right to that corner. but-
We could do that, cause the driveway's coming in, I don't know where the house is, though, and it's.
Yeah, houses here.
I think
This
we
is the
had
garage, so that the driveway is going to coming in this way.
Yeah. So what happens if we just put the shed, it's only like right on this. We
Yep.
put it on the road right away, so we're 30 feet and we're
Yep.
10 feet, so we move it to right there.
Is this 10 feet from the neighbors?
Yep, that's the 10-foot mark right there from the property line. That's what he's got there, and then here's the 30-foot from the road right away.
Okay.
So we could set it right
Mhm.
on that platted, right there, so it'd be easy for everybody to say, we could say 30 feet from the road right away and 10 feet from the property line.
Okay,
This is the shed, right? I think that's the camper, this is the shed.
No, the whole floor.
Yeah.
It is- oh, it's not on
I
the,
think
okay.
it is open.
Okay, I was just, yep.
That's the snow left over from the previous year, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, that's satellites.
That's a terrible drawing, just, that
Yeah.
way we're legal with that,
Yep,
we're
yep.
right away, and then we moved it back, like Mark said, you figured it'd be about 65 feet.
That would be a bit of an improvement.
Well, we're doing something with the lawn.
Right.
Was it discussion time?
No, not yet. Yeah, sidetracked, sorry.
How come you didn't tell us?
That was me, that's my bad.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, well, we had a question on, a question led to the last
Discussion.
so. Anything
Sorry.
further you wanna add on the thing? We may come back and ask some questions.
Okay.
If you're good, then we'll open the public hearing, so you can head back and then we'll do that. At this time, I'll open up public hearing 2614 Stanish to construct a building at reduced setback to ordinary Hardwick and leave the shed. Ordinary high wire setback. Any public comments from people in attendance?
Yeah.
State your name.
Up there.
You can stay where, as long as you speak loud, we can get you on the.
My name is Deborah Paul. I own the property next to her. And I did send in a email with our objections. So I think Jason probably, that was forwarded to you.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it to him, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
We want to make sure that the house is at least 40 to 45 feet back from the high water mark. Our property and our cabin and the one on the other side were grandfathered in. When those were built, so we don't want to see anything go closer to the water. We don't care about the road part as far as how close to the road it is. And we don't care how tall it is. We just want to make sure that it's solid.
Which one, are you to the north or to the south?
It's 28370. It's just, I don't know if that's.
So.
It's that,
So,
Okay, so you're at 36.7 and 38 feet, you're at 36 feet.
yeah, that was grandfathered in back in the day when that. On the back of that.
Okay.
I'm one of the property owners for.
Okay.
As far as the shed that is currently on that property, when the previous owner said that they don't have it located there. That was located on the different floor of that. So the shed that's on the property right now was not the location where the shed was. So we do have some objections to some of this. And the shoreline right now is getting compromised by the weather and the fevers and everything else.
Thank you. Any other public comments from anyone in attendance? At this time, we'll read any information that was sent in the office or email or.
so you got the DNR letter. Dated June 22nd, 2026. Kind of the same. Well, I think Kathy read some of that. Comments before that.
Yeah.
And then you have the email from Deborah Paul in the packet, which basically reiterates what she just said. That is conservation comments and then staff report. All you have.
Thank you. At this time, we'll close the public hearing. The committee will deliberate amongst themselves. If I'm not mistaken, did the DNR letter talk about, I think, the camper was in violation and the shed? In the violation record? I don't know.
Well, we sent a
Yep,
violation letter
correct.
about the camper.
Didn't they reference that in the letter too?
Oh.
And I think that was when we're like, Brad, when we're talking about where the thing is they reference the shed because of the violation that hadn't been removed yet or fixed with the condition of, in a sense, the variance may approve it and currently behind the 35, then that's not as big of a issue, but why is that not in there?
This one talks about the camper.
The what?
This one talks about the camper.
Yeah, yeah, I just remember reading something that cause. See, I don't know, I don't have it, it's on the. In your staff report, Jason, what were the violations?
Yeah, it was,
Thanks.
it was,
Yeah.
Well, the campers was there without a camper permit and it doesn't meet the setbacks, but then the shed within the lake setback.
Correct. That was before the app, that's what initiated
still-
the application.
Yeah, so the variance is trying to fix the
Remedy
camper,
those, that's
camper issue, obviously, because then they'll have a house and won't need the camper.
correct.
And yeah, there was a variance in the past, but variances expire
Correct, if they aren't initiated or
within a certain time, within a couple of years, and that was,
intent.
yeah.
We on discussion.
1994. And that variance was to construct a dwelling at 40 feet from the ordinary high water mark. Well,
Yeah.
that variance you proposed.
So is this the camper?
In that draft,
Yeah, camper's shown on the map.
Is that
Yeah, yeah.
camper?
yeah, right next to the new house structure.
Okay, and then what is that other little bump out? Is that a deck? It's not shown on the plan.
It's a platform coming off the camper.
Oh,
Camper deck.
so the camper's gonna disappear. So there,
If it doesn't, then it'll be another violation, yep.
so the camper's gonna disappear. So why can't we move it back to 30 feet from the road right away? The house?
The builder asked me to move it so that he can build, so they can get all their equipment in and take the trees down and stuff. So I put it where the builder told me to.
I think it can be moved back other than we gotta be 10 feet from the drain field components. And we don't know, you have the vent there
Yep.
and we don't know
how far it goes
how wide the
underground.
sewer system is underground, is it 6 feet wide, 3 feet wide? So I mean, I guess if you wanted to make a motion, you could say move it back as far as the septic setback would allow. You could do
Well,
something
that
like
language is
that.
at least as clear then.
Yeah, then it would be forced to be back as far as it could. If you're trying to get it back further.
So then that's the only motion we'd have to make it. We don't need to know a number at
No,
that time.
To the furthest point possible with where the drain field or any of the septic
Yep.
parts are.
Who put the septic in for you?
Lady Ralph,
Okay, roof home. So he should be able to, well, you probably got that on record.
well, it's probably in the, permit. That detail should be in the permit records. It's a newer system.
And Wade really does a good map, so. But if the camper's sitting there, we definitely should be able to move it back
Yeah.
and get into the 40 feet.
Well, that's
Because
right.
there's just that one little.
35
corner.
one, that's just what I'm saying is if we make that language to say that we'll go to a minimum, whatever the required 10 foot from the septic. You can add to that 35 one if you get 5 more feet, then
We're at
4 7, whatever you are to get compliant from the backside, which would set the house. I don't think the builder would have any problem with looking at the aerial. Moving it just straight back that way on equipment.
I'm a builder. I don't see it's a problem.
But that would help with the 40 number, help with that setback averaging and everything else.
Well, that should get us to the 40.
Yeah, it would. I mean, 35, if we can gain
And
5
if
feet
one
by
little
saying
corner-
just moving that, then that's,
You move 10 feet over and we're probably, then now we're gonna be at farther.
Yeah, because if,
Should be over 40.
Yeah, correct. That's what I meant to say. Thank you. Picking up your spot here on the.
no, hey, that's the process.
If I get into that.
Yep.
Here's the septic vent is about 17 or 18 feet from the proposed house we have shown on here. The vents are usually
In the
10
center.
feet from the edge of the drain field. Or in the center, approximately, we always figure about 3 feet beyond the vent is where the drain field goes to. So you'd have to be, you'd gain, so we'd have 13 feet, so you'd be able to move back about 4 or 5 feet. Is what it looks like, give up what you gain there from.
And I think we just say that if we did approve it, that we'll just move back as far as we can to have the 10 feet. From the edge of the first, there's probably only 2 cells on a 2-bedroom. I would think.
And I don't have a drawing of it. I think I have my file here, but I don't know what it looks like exactly, so. But that's usually a good rule of thumb is we figure at least 3 feet from the vent is where the drain field is. Occupying. That, what your thoughts are too there?
I just won't see that math. This is the fence. So he's saying this distance here. I just say this goal is 40 plus.
Well, their just goal is move back as far as we can.
Yeah, well, whatever, then if this is 3 feet to the drain field, then that would be close to
Yeah.
15 feet, which goes against,
Well, he's saying 13.
Yeah.
Mark's saying 13 from the vent pipe to the cabin, right? Where it would be now.
The setback would be. I'd say it's about 17 or 18 right now,
Okay,
from the vent to the.
so take 3 feet off of that, right? From
Three
your
or four
vent,
feet,
if it's a
move
2
3 or
set,
4 feet, then it'd still be.
take 4 feet. Yeah, so we could move it back 10 feet.
Well, what's interesting, so I'm looking at Wade's drawing and it looks like the tank and then the system goes north. So I don't know who this,
what vent that is then.
what that septic vent is. Is that just not a clean out? That south vent?
It could be a clean out.
Oh, because the campers, they're hooked up to it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
My guys will dislocate whatever the risers are shown.
Correct, yep, I get, makes sense.
So I'm thinking septic tank, the system does.
Yeah, so it should be,
Girls,
it should
this is
be,
probably just a clean out.
I bet it is, for the camper clean out,
Mm-hmm.
because you need a clean out by code. So if it fills with sand, you can clean that. So we should be able to move back. I think we need to locate that septic and move back as far as we can to still be within the road right away.
That part probably would be redone on excavating for the cabin and for the house anyway.
Yeah, they could run a new pipe from the tank and go a different.
Yeah, because they're gonna have. to
Eliminate the
anyway.
need. to-
We ready? Yeah. Yeah, I would make the motion to grant the variance. With a few, let's see. Here, right here. Holy cow. With a few, considerations. Okay, number 1, shoreline to follow state standard viewing and access corridor width, which is not to exceed 30% of the shoreline for the corridor width. And the vegetated area needs to be the depth of 37.5 feet landward from the ordinary high water mark. This is the same requirement as listed in the statute 59.692, which allows up to 200 square feet of open sided construction within the 75 feet. They have approximately 315 feet of shoreline, which will allow it a 94-foot viewing corridor and access. Mitigation agreement to be recorded and reflecting this requirement. Land use permit to be obtained prior to construction. Septic system to be sized for the number of bedrooms. Install rain gutters on the dwelling and direct water to rain gardens and the rock trenches. Mitigation agreement to be recorded reflecting this requirement. This is additional mitigation for the extra house, which is in with 75 feet of the setback. Work with the county conservationist on location and sizing. Proper erosion control and storm water runoff controls to be in place. And follow all local, state, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity. And to move the shed within 30 feet or to the road right away and 10 feet from the south property line.
Hold on. You said what, road right away, you wanna say setback to the road right away?
Setback to the road right, yes.
Is that the middle of the road?
No.
No.
It'll be 63 feet from center line roughly.
And the last one, to move the house back as far as it can go towards the road right away, but not to interfere with the septic, and that to be determined by, I guess, Jason. Before the house, the permit can be issued.
That works.
Yeah, our goal was 40 plus, obviously. I think there's enough room for that without actually.
Well, the way the septic looked, it looked
Yeah,
like
no, yeah.
we could get plenty.
Yep. I have a motion by Peterson with said conditions. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Seconded by Schmidt. Any other discussion on the motion to approve variance 2614 Stanish with conditions as stated? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to approve variance 2614 with conditions stated. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Next time, quit speaking in Italian at the end of it. Meaning all those things you were talking about. That's bad.
At this time, we'll open up hearing 2615 Maslanka Trust to construct a deck at a reduced road setback. Play it and butcher the name.
Good evening, I'm Brad Maslanka. To redo the deck at 28,405 One Star Lane. This is what it looks like. I had to tear the deck down because it was non-compliant. The construction was just 2x6s. There's no face footing on it. So the proposed decking is gonna be this. And materials provided by ABC Center. And the reason for the variance is, the house sits back 65 feet, but to build the deck out to 14 feet like I would with these, exceed the variance. So I'm asking for relief on that. It would not interfere with any, but his other property, the low profile, no other, issues with, drainage or wildlife or no tree removal. And the way the deck would set on the property, there's plenty of trees that surround it and it would be, not really noticeable from the road. You see where they have to look for it. And like I said, this deck I tore off because it was constructed on mainly with 2x6s. It was starting to rot and only the footings were used with 2x6s. They're only about 8 feet or 8 inches into the ground, so it was starting to rot. So
There was an existing deck.
yes, it was probably built prior to any zoning law of the road, or it was just built without anybody knowing about.
Well, Jackson used to be unzoned until 2004.
That's what I'm guessing. There was never
So there was no setback then.
no setback.
Because they
They didn't have zoning.
And I
No,
thought,
by the shoreline, so.
Correct.
and Voyager Village is kind of cracking down on the setbacks, so it was prudent for me to get a building permit and do the proper channels.
So you must be making the deck bigger because you could replace an existing deck.
The current deck was 12 feet. And I'm going off, staying at 14 feet out and 14 by 31. About the same footprint as this, but extending it at 2 feet out further. And the reason for that location, the south side of the house has the septic tank and gas line coming in, the north side has the wellhead electrical. And the west side would be sitting in the sun most of the day. And the main entrance of the house is on the east side of the house.
Any other questions for the applicant while he's up here? Anything further you wanna add at this time? If not, we'll give you an opportunity when we know.
Not this time, I mean,
Okay. But you can head back and then we'll open public hearing. At this time, we'll open public hearing for variance 2615, Islamic Trust. Any comments from anyone in attendance? Comments? Any letters from anyone?
Well, you had conservationists said no comments. It's not, since it's not near any lakes or rivers or wetlands or anything, and then the staff reports in there. That's it. Nothing from the township or Voyager Village.
Hearing no other comments, at this time we'll close the public hearing. The committee will deliberate amongst themselves. Did you contact anything with Voyager Village, or did they say what their guidance was?
plans with them and they approved them upon getting the building permit, so.
He said he submitted the stuff to,
As long as we approve it, they'll approve it.
No, I submitted, blueprints and plans that both showed.
Yep.
Thank you. You can't, are we amongst ourselves?
we are. We're consistent.
I mean, first of all, even that it's a dead end road. There's two houses by it. It's gravel road.
I don't know, the person down on the end of the road though, I think is pretty shady. So I don't know if I would,
Well, it is a tough neighborhood.
yeah.
Good one. I like that. This is, I mean, not that we go by any precedence of anything we've ever done, but I see that this hurts nobody. I mean, and Voyager Village, who is cracking down, said it's fine as long as he gets his variance for this deck. Yeah, I don't have any, I don't see an issue at all with it.
I don't either. I would make a motion to approve variance 2615 Maslanka. With the three items: sanitary system evaluation to be done by a Wisconsin licensed plumber and submitted to the county by 10/1/26. Land use permit to be obtained for the deck prior to construction. And number three, follow all local, county, state and federal requirements for this activity.
I have a motion by Daniels to approve variance 2615 with three conditions. Do I have a second?
I make a second.
Seconded by Peterson. Any other discussion on variance 2615 with the three conditions stated? If not, all in favor say aye.
One question on those conditions, do I get a email or a letter on these conditions in or how that go forward?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, you'll get a letter stating all that stuff.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to approve 2615 with three conditions. You have your variance, thank you. At this time, variance 2616 bond to leave two camping units that were placed without obtaining a conditional use permit. Hey, welcome back. Carter.
You were talking to me.
No, I apologize. Maybe you were here before. We see a lot of people. See what's
Just like a month ago.
There you go.
We have so many papers you've never looked at.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening. My name is Pam Bone. I'm here with North Winds Resort and Bar. I am requesting a approval for the zoning variance on your agenda. My husband and I purchased North Winds Resort and Bar in July of 2016 via land contract. In November of 2016, we finalized that sale. At the time of the sale, the property had one bar dwelling, 4 campers, 3 cabins and a shed. Currently, the property has the bar dwelling, 4 cabins, 4 campers, and 2 sheds. 2 of the campers were there prior to 2012. And the 2 other campers were placed there in 2015. Each one of those campers have a 400-gallon tank, sewage tank. We purchased it in 16, so those were there. We brought in a camper, a park model, and that's on your sheet, and it's cabin 4. We brought that in for our personal use, but then we decided to make it a cabin and we rent out for income resort. That cabin is hooked into a 2,000-gallon holding tank right next to the cabin, the current cabin 2. We understand the zoning regulations. Most of those campers were there before we bought them. And we're hoping that you will grant the variance. It helps us with income. We're a small business and that helps us with our seasonal, campers. And you can grant your variance.
So were the ones that were there that when you bought the property, are they seasonal or are they rental? Can I
They're
come and
seasonal.
rent? So I couldn't come and rent.
No,
So they're owned by
they're
somebody.
campers, yes. And we rent the spot to them each year.
How many total of those are there?
4
More than are owned by
seasonal
somebody?
campers.
Which ones are those?
Those are the farthest away from the bar itself.
RV1, RV2,
And then one label trailer, RV.
And then RV3?
RV3 and our cabin 4 are the ones circled and issued.
Yeah, so if you have the map.
Yep.
I do.
That's orange.
Yeah.
Yep, so so that was the one that was put there by the prior owner,
Correct,
this one, and that's a seasonal one. Site,
correct.
and then this is the one that they put in, the park model.
And that one is also seasonal. We only rent it out in the summer months.
but it is a rental.
It is a
I could
rent.
come and rent that one.
Yes, you could.
So that's why we kind of listed it as a cabin.
Correct. And that's how I have it on the website and such is.
Park model.
Yeah, it's a park model.
So 1, 2, and 3 were there. Prior. Cabins, 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, yes.
As well as RVs 1 and 2.
Yes, and that trailer. The only one we moved in, I call is cabin 4.
So the 2 that I have circled are the 2 that do not have a zone, never had zoning approval to be there.
So that's all we care about tonight.
Yes. Cause they meet setbacks, well. Lake setback at least. Yeah, those are the 2 that were not permitted to be there. And I guess I don't know how much you want me to talk now or later. You know, the tricky part is that the county changed all these campground rules. Yep. Now this parcel is zoned RR1. You cannot ask to have a campground in RR1 anymore. It has to be the RRRC district. So there's like, cause normally you would say, go to the land use committee and ask to get a conditional use permit to expand the campground, to add sites. But this property can't do that anymore. So that's kind of why we're here.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, it's unique.
Anything else you want to add at this time?
No.
So we can always come back to you if we have something
Thank you.
when we go into deliberations. So, thank you, yeah. At this time, we'll open public hearing variance 2616 bond to leave 2 camper units. Any comments from those in attendance here tonight? Any letters from?
There's
any
nothing,
neighbors?
conservation had no comments and there's no letters, so just staff report.
Okay, at this time, we will close the public hearing and deliberate amongst ourselves. So yeah, the uniqueness is there was some county zoning changes to the parcel that made this non-compliant, which is why we're here for RV3 and cabin 4. That's the thing at question. Just my question, I know from some other counties or even ours, do we have, when you have a campground, is it more than 1 to 24? Doesn't really matter with the numbers, but they kind of get approved?
No,
Or
so-
is it unit specific in our county?
Unit specific. So what you're talking about, that's how the state licenses them. So the state has a campground license, I think, from 1 to 24, 25 to 99, 100 to 150. So that's just how they group them. That's how they charge their license fees. If you have 2, you pay the same fee as if I have 24. That's how they look at it. But yeah, every county is specific with their number of units. So this was, there's no conditional use permit for this campground resort because it's been here forever. So they are just they were grandfathered in at the number that they had. So when zoning came along, they're allowed to keep running what they had. It's just can't add these 2 essentially underneath what the ordinance says. Cause the campground it's not big enough parcel and it's zoned incorrectly now for what the rules say.
It's not compliant.
Yeah. So it was grandfathered in for the 3
what
that
it
they
had.
had and the cabins that they had.
So the variance is not so much about the exact placement, it's just that the fact that they're even there.
Correct. So this is a little bit unique because it's kind of like a use variance, not a setback variance.
But it is also.
Yeah, because they don't meet the setbacks of the side lot lines, but yes.
And what years did they come in? 16?
We purchased it in 16. The other campers were 2015. And we brought in the park model or cabin
Cabin
4
4.
in 2009, or 18, excuse me.
Yes, they are.
You know, we had this discussion about a year ago when the guy wanted to add on to cabins. He wanted to add cabins and remodel on Clemley. Right? And we all kind of agreed that, you know, resorts are a thing of the past. And that's why I asked a couple times, could I rent that cabin? So somebody can come from Washington State and rent a cabin here on the lake and spend the time there. There's not hardly any of these left. You know, and it's gotta be hard to make a living. That's why there are not any of them left, because it's hard to make a living doing this. And
Yeah, like,
And Jeremy, the first thing you came out of your mouth was the uniqueness of this particular product.
Yeah.
It is, you know,
it's a nice little spot.
absolutely.
And, you know, the neighbors, we had people come the last time they were here and speak how good a steward they are and letting people use that boat landing and come in there.
I do want to correct one thing you said though. That variance from last year was not to add any additional.
No, that was just for the pavers, right?
No, but the variance you said about a year ago,
It was
for the person
rebuilding the
came in to
cabins on the
rebuild the
same-
resort, he
Yeah.
didn't ask to add new cabins.
Didn't he?
Nope.
I thought
He
we,
just wanted to
no,
rebuild.
'cause he was tearing a couple of them down.
He
But
just, yeah.
okay.
I just wanted to clarify, he didn't ask to add any, he just wanted to
Okay.
tear them all down.
well, my point being said is I feel, even though some of these are campers, it's still, it is a resort where you can come and bring your kids there and fish and swim and canoe on the river and rent a cabin, which there's just not many left.
Yeah, you'd hate to make, one end, you'd hate to make them take them out and affect income stream. Obviously got money invested in at least the one.
Like, we're plenty far from that lake. You know, I mean, and they've been there for 18 and 16.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so
the only issue in my mind is that they're so close to the neighboring lot. Which doesn't look necessarily lived in, but it could be, and then. you know, they're really close to the neighbor.
Is there even an easement to get to that lot? I mean, you got the creek right there, and then you got the property line. It doesn't look like there's any kind of easement to go into that lot.
Yeah, there's nothing shown on the survey map, but that doesn't mean that there isn't one.
Right. But I mean, if anybody was gonna do anything with that lot, Dan, I mean, you still got the other ones that have been there and the cabins that have been there, so
Yeah.
it's not like you're just all of a sudden pop something right on that lot. There's stuff that's there already.
Yeah, it is as close, yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like I said, one of the concerns I have is that this is tough. I know grandfather, we've had stuff in the past where campgrounds are issued with 24 units and 10 years later, there's 36 or there's 50 there. And it becomes, well, you've got the infrastructure and you've got all the stuff there, yet they never readjust their stuff to it on that, because we start regulating campgrounds like, the county said, no more new ones. The public sentiment is no more new campgrounds yet. We don't actually address this, is why I brought up, is there a fee? Like, because I was referencing what I know in Douglas County is, I was trying to get 2 campers on my property and the zoning said I have to get a state license, which means I gotta pay for the 24. Doesn't matter if I have 2 on the property or 24, it's the same exact process. For that county, that's why I was trying to clarify, like, how do we establish them? Because we don't say down the road, like what happens in 15 years, there's 7 on this parcel. Because we don't go inspect or check and then they get built sometimes with stuff that's like I said, that's one of the hard enforcement areas that we have because no fault to the applicant's own that when they bought it, that RV3 was already there that's non-compliant, but then they brought in another one without knowing that is non-compliant and not, shouldn't be there according to what it was zoned for.
Correct. I guess every other campground has had enough area to ask to revise their conditional use permit. And to bring it into meet the requirements.
So this one doesn't meet the area requirement for what is it, a total of units that we have, 7?
Well, even to ask for a campground, you gotta,
The new regulation is fairly significant size.
yeah. And I'm trying to think of every other campground,
It's like from this map here. There's a driveway,
yeah.
there's a dash line like. It's good, they must have a road kind of go through here. You can get there.
RV3 is what they.
Next RV3. Yeah.
I don't remember what the code was in 2015 in relation to campers and what it was in 2019 or 18 when they got the second one in here.
Cause I think, did you put in 2016, is that when RV or cabin 4 got put in? Or 18, okay, sorry.
We purchased it.
Yep. Yeah, bought the property or the resort and stuff.
I guess my only comment on this one is with it being a use variance, there's a little bit of a difference, so I highlighted that in my staff report.
Right.
I need you guys to tell me what the unnecessary hardship is, if you're gonna make a motion to approve it.
And this is kind of meets the determination of self-inflicted.
Could you argue that the site? A lot, if the property is too small? It's not something of their own doing, right? To allow for a formal campground?
Well, if you,
I'm just spitballing here.
yeah, I mean, if you read there, what the statute says. Would there be no reasonable use of the property without a variance? Mhm. And again, I don't care how you guys decide.
No, correct, but that's.
I just need to be able to write the decision document
Mhm.
to reflect the property.
So it wouldn't even be a matter of them moving it to a different location on the property. It's just the fact that it's on the property is the problem. And both of them. And the other ones have been there long enough, they're grandfathered in.
Yeah, RV3 and the cabin 4 is what's in there, and RV3 is a seasonal rental, is that correct? So you have a tenant in there that has a contract every year, or probably renews.
That was done prior to your ownership.
Correct.
Well,
Yeah, it's hard to argue with them. With that line. Have no reasonable use of the property. Not optimal, but it's. Reasonable use.
And I didn't make up these wordings, that's right in the application. And that's directly from case law, so. Not. Zoning trying to be a jerk or anything, This time. I was gonna hope somebody got one of these those.
Somebody's paying.
yeah. Deep thoughts, maybe I can.
Yeah. I think you can make a case, there's no harm to the public. Back enough far from the lake, it's hardly visible from the lake. It is a unique property, right, in the size and the history of it.
Yeah, definitely compared, like I said.
It's just the hardship thing, I guess.
Unless you can argue that the hardship is that if they lost the rental income from those, would they be able to support the whole package for everybody with taxes and things going up and insurances?
It's a subjective hardship for sure. I mean, how can you? Define exactly.
Without seeing their
Right.
financials, right?
Right, exactly.
How do you?
That's always been the one that really is hard for anybody. I mean, you can look at it two ways, reasonable hardship. Okay, you bought the lot, you've owned the property, you've been using it, and not just this, but all of the people that come in front of us for various. That is really a tough one for me, and it always has been, and I kind of like what Kathy said, that, that income of those extra, that's some thousands of dollars that could make or break the difference on tough years to, you have reasonable use of the property, but if you don't have these two rentals, does that change the?
That might pay the taxes.
Well, that might be the difference,
What is the total number that we would, like, if it was approved, is there 6 total units? There's 3 cabins, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Four cabins, four seasons.
8 total rentals or seasonal units on the area.
I think 25% of them would.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's a significant revenue source when you're 2 out of 8 is,
And cabin 4 probably gets a higher rental than a lot of those other ones because of the size.
yeah, I
And
don't,
I have families that come in and they rent all of the cabins and they're right there, and if that goes away, then.
Somebody stays home.
There's some kind of a middle ground or some mentions of lesser variance.
Yeah, any idea?
I don't, I'm just brainstorming.
That's a question. If the conditional use permit would have been allowable before, because the zoning changed. Because they can no longer have camping permits, would that have been allowed or allowable for this area, or would the size and density be too much? That's the question, because they would have had a different avenue of where to, instead of coming to you guys, they would have been going to the land use committee for additional use permit to allow this unit to be there.
If in fact they had enough land area, yes.
Or it was after the fact, sometimes that happens there too, same as these, That's one of those questions, if it's there already or it's been there, how long is the question sometimes. But that's based on their conditions, and then they have to meet them.
it's a tough, like I said, my brain's just thinking, okay, devil's advocate or whatever. I'm likely to say at RV3 because they purchased the property with that there. If it was just that, I would probably be like, it's already been 10 years since it's been there in operation for whatever. What does bug me in the sense is just the fact that they brought in another one on their own in 2018. Not necessarily whatever, just probably not knowing, just thinking, hey, we're running a business, it'd be nice to have a new one, whatever. I would say, is there an option that one of the other ones, because I would assume you wouldn't want to remove cabin 4, that's your newest structure with the biggest infrastructure or whatever. But I was looking at one of the cabins and it's like they are in some form of disrepair, and so one of them looked pretty rough with, it didn't look like it had been used much, and today it was mowed up, there was some grass on it, and I was just curious if that was one of the cabins, unless I was looking at the angle wrong. But it would be, then you'd be like, okay, within 5 years, you gotta remove one of the RV stations or end the contract to stick with the 7 versus the 8 because you brought one in without condition. And I could say, like I said, if it was just the old RV3 and you bought the property, ran it for 10 years, we found it was non-compliant, that number's there. But that's then like I said, then the applicant has to go to someone in RV3 and say, all right, you got 2 years of renewal and then the unit's gone, you gotta pull it off. Because I assume the rentals are theirs, they're their campers.
Yeah.
You pay the site fee for it, but you'd just lose the site. I mean, like I said, thinking about options or whatever, it's like, because if they hadn't brought in their own, that's still non-compliant and added to the number. Then it's like, okay. It was just a train of thought on it.
Can variances be, I think they're yes or no, aren't they? I don't think you can put, like, they go away if sunsets on anything.
What would we be writing? A variance for 8 units?
Well, no,
Well, for the two,
Okay.
the six are all.
Yeah, they're fine,
The six are fine. We're talking about the
Yep.
two that are circled.
correct.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Good question about, I suppose you could grant them. Suppose you could grant a variance for it to expire at a certain time. Um.
I would be more inclined to do yes or no.
Yep,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. Like I said, just kind of
That
throw
would
out.
be the cleaner way to do it.
That would be what I would say, yes or no.
Well, we had discussion about, like I said, what is the hardship? And if we're looking at our county thinking that these type of resorts are a thing of the past and I don't wanna say a dying industry, that the ones that are left are struggling financially to be able to survive or whatever with the thing, and then you could argue that the ones that are there are part of the resort, as long as then you cap the number at the 8 that are conditional, because you don't wanna see come back in, like I said, 10 or 15 years and there's 10 sites on it. And they don't get caught on zoning and whatever, and it's like that seems to be the way out for resort owners that just happens, and I understand the business model, it's like, hey, we got a room over here, or that type of thing, but. That does make sense, if you think of it in that perspective, from hardship of. What we see, and if that's something that's important in our community, then you think of bringing in people that don't just have the camper and the contract individually to just come and visit. And stay in the resorts, like I said, that's what I grew up in Burnett County at Webb Lake, I mean, like, horrible. Every weekend we were up there from Superior and could rent canoes and kayaks, and that literally was something that, well, we were living in Atman Courts at the time, so that we didn't. We had train tracks in our backyard, not lakes and ponds. Well, we had a big lake on the other side.
Dana, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's certainly no harm to public interest. I think, like you had said, you know, it doesn't apply to these three, but having an overwhelming support from the local area for providing a spot for families and boat access and, you know, just I think you could argue there's a hardship.
Yeah, especially when you say 25% of the income may disappear.
And then what's the cost of dragging one off and finding a spot to plant it, you know?
Dan,
Now I'm torn. I wanna say yes, but I'm looking at the highlighted section of the hardship and. Seems pretty black and white. The definition of the hardship here, no reasonable use of the property without the variance, and that's,
Well, reasonable is a
yeah, I know,
very, it's kind of like last month's with
definition of is.
our owner for
Well, if they couldn't afford to keep it, they would have no reasonable use of the property.
right.
And on the other hand. Setting a precedent.
well, we're all torn, we wouldn't be sitting here this long,
Yeah.
make a motion and be done. But, you know, we wanna do what we're feeling is the right way to go.
And like I said, I think when you look at the unique, because we have, like I said, current area doesn't allow. It's grandfathered in. Yes, we have many applicants that come in before us that have made mistakes and put things without knowledge, knowing or whatever, thinking that the process is there. So, I mean, if I big picture it and say for the county that you have a successful business that's bringing in tourism and whatever, it's far enough off the lake where the stuff is there that does it make or break water quality? No, I don't think it does. The cabin that's there, I actually, the more I think about the hardship, that you could define that it's a financial hardship to have a business that is basically seasonal. You've got to maximize your weekends. I mean, I think of Grantsford, you know, without Watercross, a lot of some of the places down there don't survive the weekend on certain things. That removing, what, 25% of your potential revenue stream on a very small resort. I mean, 8 is pretty tiny to current standards. Cause I don't know, Jason just had a reference, like most. If we're getting campgrounds, they're probably starting in the 20+ range for units on average. You know, I mean, it's depending on site location, but now with the area, you have to be that big, and I know a lot of the structures is the sewer. You almost gotta go super big to be able to justify the sewer cost installations of these new campgrounds and things like that, so.
How many can they put at the roundabout? You know what the capacity is there?
Oh, 22, I think.
22 on a small lake, you know, I mean, you could argue that.
I looked up real quick, the 95 ordinance, so 1995. In the campground at that time, you had to have 5 acres.
What does this say this one is? Out of curiosity.
We got here 3.7 acres.
3.07.
3.0. Let's see.
With 8.
Oh, ordinary high water
And-
mark. Yeah, 3.5.
3.5, yeah.
Yeah, 3.348.
That was 95.
That's the old, we have certain years scanned,
Yeah,
so that
you
was
can
the
look back.
one that I was trying to find that was prior to 2015.
Are we setting a bad precedent that let's say we approve this? 2 years, they sell the property and the next guy brings in 4 more and then here again,
Well, the property is for sale right now.
okay? So, I mean,
Well, that's where I say that, like I said, it's listed for the 8, that's in the permit, wouldn't it be? Condition?
Yeah, if you grant it,
Yeah.
then they are limited to the 8.
well,
Because
until the next guy moves 4 more in and.
yeah, that's why I say when it's enforcement, because we had one across from, well, yeah, that was a fun one.
All fun.
You know, that literally, it was permitted for like 24 and they had 55 in there.
Yeah.
And then I logically went, well, we're worried about getting new ones, why don't we look at the ones that have campers and see if they meet their application? Because if they're pulling them without approval, that's just as bad as starting a new one, you know,
You know,
for capacity wise, but that's a whole different argument.
I'm kind of getting, we're kind of leaning toward approval with economics as the hardship.
I think that's the only one we can say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mark from Wagner made a good point that, you know, if it may. A lot of times on the condos we've approved, they don't have the square footage to do the additions. Well, this is not a lot different, as Mark stated, if they had the 5 acres. Then they could go to the county and just get 2 more conditional use permits for this, or apply for them, whether they'd be granted in this day and age, I don't know.
And like I said, each application is specific. We try to stick to precedent
Right.
or some logic, but it is as we see, stuff comes up where it is unique. I think it is, it's either approving them both or not approving them both, so it seems to be the logical process. You willing to make a motion, have an idea?
I will make a motion to approve variance 2616 bond. Under the conditions, a land use permit for the decks on the two campers to be obtained by 9/15/2026. Lock and chain to be installed in all septic tank by 9/15/2026. Follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity.
We have a motion by Daniels. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Campion with conditions read. Any other discussion on 2616 bond? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries to approve 2616 bond.
See on this one too.
Scared you away again, huh, Dan? This time we'll hear variance 2617 Burke and Henke to expand non-conforming garage more than 25%.
Good evening. Kevin Berkey. 29233 Ford Road.
This one, I don't know how many people were getting their packets. This one, there was letters from each neighbor that. Any copies, or since you didn't get your.
For Ashton Carlson.
Well, you got yours, you said, and.
I got mine.
Yours, yeah. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, Kevin.
No, it's not at all. We're just looking for a variance to expand up on top of the garage for office and storage. Jody's working from home 100% now, so currently working out of the kitchen, so we're looking for a little more space. We're full-time residents. So we moved last year and we're gonna be here for quite some time, so. I believe the garage was built in 95 under a compliant permit. And I believe in 06, it was mentioned it changed the property line setback from 5 to 10 feet. Which then made the garage slightly non-compliant in the corner, and now we have to obtain a variance so we can go up. On top.
Straight up.
With one level, straight up, the roof would change from peak facing north-south to east-west. There's gutters on everything now. There will be gutters on everything when we redo it. The rain garden on the south side, which then would be one of the gutter sides with the peak changing. And we have multiple drain tile and drainage currently, and everything should be pretty good shape as far as drainage and that's in a nutshell. There's a lot of other information we put into the application. Rehash that as far as being able to do something somewhere else, but it didn't work very well with all the power line setback, the drain field, the house where it is currently, the forest shed, the alternate drain field, and just where the garage is well back from the lake. And we just figured, hey, this is a logical spot to get a little extra space that we could use to live here for the next 20 years. That's kind of about it.
Understandable.
No plumbing up there?
We're not gonna put We're not gonna try and, because there's a gazebo in front, we're not gonna try to run that to the septic. We put a new drilled well in at the house. That would have to come all the way over and under the garage. It's just too much, so.
I didn't see any in the plans, I just was wondering.
No, our ultimate anticipation would be an incinerator toilet up there, just so we had somewhere. And we're gonna be a closet and then an office space for Joey to be able to work, and that's kind of what it's for.
Like the aero plans are getting a little low.
To me.
That's the homeowner plan.
Don't blame Dan, that's.
No. Yeah, that was.
Actually,
We don't want that,
we don't wanna see the plan that Dan sent us, so.
Why not?
So, we don't program, we just gave them rough layout and
Sorry,
elevation.
It's
I
okay.
just threw the, you know what it was. for.
And then the peak is, we estimated about 25. I don't know if it was estimated a little less than that, but it's well under the requirement of 35.
Well, actually, you could go 40 feet high if you're behind 75-foot setback.
I believe it's right around 100 right now, garages from the high water mark. The garages now.
And Mark from Wagner, the only issue in the whole thing is the building is a little bit cockeyed to the,
Get 10-foot setback.
and it's parallel to the house, and so that front corner is too close, otherwise they wouldn't even be able to get. So,
All right, thanks, Kevin, unless you have anything else. At this time, we'll open up public hearing 2617 Burke and Henke. Any comments from any of those people in attendance? If not, any information sent in by Ia?
So you have the two letters, so you got letters from each adjoining neighbor. Both of them are okay, there's in support of the request. No comments from conservation, and then just my staff report.
Excellent. At this time, we'll close the public hearing and deliberate amongst ourselves. Okay. So the expansion of 25%, is that because of the lot? Is the footprint staying in the same?
Yes.
Footprint staying the same, so it's 25% of the envelope. That envelope is volume.
Correct, that's why I was double clear, because I'm like, I didn't see a schematic of a moving of the, so the four east, west, north, south walls are all staying, it's just going vertical.
I guess I should have probably put one more condition on here.
So the 35 feet here.
No, that not to be used for human habitation.
Yep, that one should go in there because that's, it's not a secondary home or.
So that was probably one.
With no bathroom. you probably-
Well, I think it goes in all garages just because it has to, so. I don't have any questions, I was just trying to make sure that 25%, because usually. You know, this, or is it in here, I just ain't looking at it. No. Like how much, usually the areas go over the 25%, like they had 600 feet and they're asking for 20%.
This would essentially be doubling it probably.
Correct,
because
but it's
pretty much
vertical.
a second story. Yep.
I don't have any other comments, everything looks good to me.
I will make a motion to approve variance 2617 Burke and Henke. The conditions, number one, land use permit to be obtained for the addition prior to construction. 2, follow all local, county, state, and federal requirements for this activity. And number 3, the non-inhabitant line, I'm not sure what.
Not to be used for human habitation.
Human habitation.
Have a motion by Daniels with 3 conditions. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Schmidt. Any other discussion on variance 2617? with the three conditions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have your variance.
So you got to sit through all of that.
Very much. Thank you very much.
All right, some stuff for you guys to sign.
It's just you.
You or me, yeah, it's probably mine. You can have it if you want.
No, thanks.
You don't want one paper?
Yeah, this is going great, I think. I tend to bring it home.
Where is your hope here?
No, I already filled that like bucket from that. I always said I'm gonna get a paper shredder and I'm gonna have to buy fuel or propane.
All right, for the first one here. Kozicki, this is the garage, reduced private road setback. Bergstrom, this one is to, and this is the one that had the two cabins and they want to tear the one down and rebuild it a little bit bigger.
Yes, yeah.
And this is the town of Oakland, the appeal
Mile.
of CUP 25. That should be it.
One day at a time.
We are adjourned.